This is The Broken Shift with Nurse Natalie. Healthcare doesn't break in chaos, it breaks quietly. When a nurse dies unexpectedly, the community feels it because nurses spend their lives caring for others. But sometimes the story behind a nurse's death reveals something darker. In October of 2024, a 35-year-old nurse from Wellington, Florida, was found unresponsive outside her car late at night. At first, the details were unclear, but investigators soon reached a disturbing conclusion. This wasn't an accident. It was a homicide. And after a 17-month investigation, authorities say they have identified the person responsible. Tonight's case file examines the tragic death of Linda Campitelli and the arrest that may finally bring answers to her family. On a quiet stretch of road under the cloak of early morning darkness, a life of compassion came to a brutal end. A beloved nurse, a mother, and a friend to many, Linda Campitelli was found dead, leaving her community in shock and investigators with a case that would test them for 17 long months. For 17 months, a family's desperate pleas for justice echoed across South Florida. For 17 months, a killer walked free, hiding within the very profession dedicated to saving lives. This is the story of how detectives unraveled a web of deceit and exposed a colleague's ultimate betrayal. To really get why this case hit so hard, you need to know who Linda Campitelli was. At 35 years old, she had built a life centered on caring for others. As a registered nurse in the post-anesthesia care unit at Wellington Regional Medical Center, she was the calm presence patients saw as they woke from surgery. The hospital itself would later describe her as beloved by patients and staff, a testament to the impact she made every single day. But her role as a caregiver didn't stop at the hospital doors. Linda was the mother of 2 young daughters, and friends called her an amazing mom. Her friend described her as an admirable, beautiful person, the kind of reliable friend you could call for anything. She was someone who simply loved her job and embraced her calling to help people. For her own mother, Adina Russo, Linda was a cherished gift. Russo shared that Linda's birth had followed heartbreaking losses, describing her daughter as being everything she had ever wanted. That child grew into a woman who, as her friends noted, would see a need and just give, no questions asked. A proud graduate of the University of Miami, she had married her husband, John Campitelli, in 2016, building a home and a life in the quiet community of Wellington, Florida. It was this vibrant life, so full of love, that made her sudden and violent death all the more incomprehensible. The night of October 28th, 2024 began like any other Monday in Palm Beach County. But shortly before 10:20 p.m., that normalcy was shattered. 911 dispatchers started getting calls from drivers on Lyons Road in Lake Worth Beach. They all reported the same disturbing sight, an unresponsive woman lying on the ground, outside her car, which was parked on the side of the road. When Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the 6100 block of Lyons Road, they found the woman, soon identified as 35-year-old Linda Campitelli. She wasn't breathing. Emergency responders tried to save her, but it was too late. At 10:20 p.m., Linda was pronounced dead at the scene. At first, the scene was a complete mystery. Was it a medical emergency? A tragic accident? Her car was there, but she was outside of it. The initial ambiguity, however, didn't last. In the weeks that followed, the medical examiner's office conducted an autopsy, and the results were chilling. Linda Campitelli's death was a homicide. A dedicated nurse and mother hadn't just died. Her life had been violently taken from her. The question was no longer what happened, but who did it. With the confirmation of homicide, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office launched a grueling investigation that would span the next 17 months. For detectives, it was a marathon of meticulous evidence gathering and frustrating dead ends. They had a beloved victim and a crime scene, but no immediate suspects and no clear motive. They started by interviewing family, friends, and Linda's colleagues from Wellington Regional Medical Center. As the months dragged on, Linda's family lived in agonizing uncertainty. They made repeated emotional pleas for any information that could help find her killer. Her mother, Adina Russo, channeled her grief into a demand for justice. Grief is a dark, dark hole, she told reporters. And when you start mixing that with anger, it's not a good place. I am so angry. I just want this person to be found. The family, along with Crime Stoppers, begged anyone with even the smallest detail to come forward, hoping for that one tip to break the case open. Behind the scenes, detectives worked tirelessly, sifting through records and piecing together timelines of Linda's final hours. Then, after more than a year and a half of relentless work, they finally had their breakthrough. The evidence began to point not to a stranger, but to someone who knew Linda, someone from inside her own professional world. On March 10th, 2026, the long wait for justice took a major leap forward. Acting on a freshly obtained arrest warrant, detectives tracked their suspect to Miami. There, they arrested 38-year-old Rene J. Perez. Like Linda, Perez was also a registered nurse and a colleague. He was taken into custody without incident and transported back to Palm Beach County. The charges against him were as serious as it gets. First-degree murder with a deadly weapon and tampering with physical evidence. The arrest brought a complex mix of relief and renewed grief to Linda's family. After 17 months of agonizing questions, they finally had a name and a face to attach their loss. Rene J. Perez was booked into the Palm Beach County Jail with his first court appearance scheduled for the next day, March 11th, 2026. As the legal process begins, the case now moves to the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office. They will decide how to proceed with the formal indictment. The arrest of Rene J. Perez brought a sense of progress, but it couldn't erase the profound loss felt by Linda's family. and community. For her mother, Adina, the anger over her daughter's life being so brutally stolen remains palpable. The family now faces the next chapter of their nightmare. The slow march of the court system, where they will likely come face to face with the man accused of murdering their beloved Linda. The shock of the arrest rippled through the local nursing community. The realization that one of their own was accused of killing a colleague is a deep and disturbing betrayal of trust in a profession built on empathy and the preservation of life. But while the case will be defined by tragedy, Linda Campitelli's legacy is one of light. She is remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived. She was the admirable, beautiful person her friends knew, the amazing mom to her 2 daughters, and the compassionate nurse who brought comfort to countless patients. That is the memory her family and friends will hold on to as they continue their long fight for justice. The murder of Linda Campitelli is a chilling story about how evil can hide in plain sight. For 17 months, a family waited in anguish for answers, while a killer walked free, blending in as a trusted caregiver. Now, with an arrest finally made, the wheels of justice have begun to turn. While a conviction can never bring Linda back, it is the only path towards accountability and some measure of closure for a family and a community that has been irrevocably broken. As this case moves through the legal system, we will continue to follow developments because stories like this matter, not only to the families involved, but to the communities where healthcare workers live and serve, and to the profession that Linda Campitelli was proud to be a part of. If you work in healthcare and have experienced workplace violence, retaliation, or unsafe conditions, you can share your story anonymously at TheBrokenShift@gmail.com. Because the stories behind healthcare are often more complex than the headlines reveal. This is The Broken Shift. Healthcare culture doesn't change when we ignore it. It changes when we're willing to examine it. This is The Broken Shift.